Hello and welcome back to the Stationary Dev. Today we have another fountain pen review. This one is going to be another Sailor pen review. I've done a couple Sailor pens so far, and this was actually my first Sailor pen, so it's going to be kind of a special one. It was also one of my first gold nib pens ever, and so just going to be a good one to take a look at. We're going to be taking a look at the Sailor Pro Gear Slim, and this is going to be in the Shikiori Meigetsu finish, the Autumn Moon finish. So, without further ado, we have this very plain white sailor box sleeve thing there. If we take that off, we have a white sailor box, which is kind of unique. I bought this pin off of Amazon for a really good price, and so this is sort of the box that it comes in. You get your white pen pillow, and then inside you get a couple of black Sailor cartridges. You can see I've already used one there, and that's kind of nice just because Sailor's cartridges and converters are proprietary. So it's nice that they include a couple cartridges in there with you and with it. And then you have your Sailor fill instructions. This one's all in Japanese, so it might not be too helpful for you unless you speak Japanese. And then a little warranty card information, and then just some more stuff about their stationary and sustainability, all that stuff. And then there's the little tag that comes on the pin. All of that's not too important to what we're going to cover, which is the actual pin. So we'll put that apart, put that in there. But that's what it all comes with. So it's not, like I said, it's nice they have the converters and stuff, but it's just a cheap plastic box, which is totally fine for me. I love that because I'm not too much of a packaging person. Doesn't change the performance or the quality of the pen for your packaging. So moving on, we get to the actual pen. This is the Sailor Pro Gear Slim Shikiori. I think this was the original Shikiori pen series. They have like 3 or 4 of them now. Or maybe 2 or 3 of them now, but then they started going to the Manyo series as well, so I think they've switched from Shikiori to Manyo. But anyway, this was part of the original series, and this is the Meigetsu finish, or also, I guess it translates roughly to Autumn Moon. So they did summer, spring, fall, and autumn, or summer, spring, winter, and autumn, or fall. And this is the autumn one. What drew me to this pen is just sort of, I really like sort of ivory colored pens. And one thing that drew me to this one is it's got the ivory and the black and the gold. I have a music background, and so this reminded me of sort of like piano keys to a degree. And also, a little bonus you can see there, if you get it in the sunlight or in the light, it does have a faint, subtle, I guess it's subtle, it's not really faint, but a subtle golden sparkle in the resin as well. So that's kind of a neat thing, but it's also very evocative of the name, like a moon, an autumn moon. I think it does a good job with the namesake as well. This is the Pro Gear Slim model, which is sort of not their smallest, because they have a Pro Gear Slim Mini, but this is a smaller one in their lineup. The next one up, their regular size, is this. It's the Sailor Pro Gear. And as you can see, it's not too different other than basically the width of it. It's a little bit maybe longer, but really it comes down to the width of the pen. I think that makes the main difference. And then uncapped, you can see it's a little bit smaller as well. But that's the difference between the Pro Gear Slim and the actual Pro Gear. I figured I would just show you that real quickly. So it's a smaller pen. It's about the same size as something like a Pilot Prera, or something in that vein, if you have that size in mind. It's a very attractive pen. So if we look at the top, we get the finial, and this is before, in the old days, before they changed their logo and everything. I prefer the old logo. I think I'm kind of in the old logo camp. But let's see if we can get a good shot of that. There you go. The old logo. I think it just kind of looks, I don't know, classier or classic sort of look. The new logo, I think, is on this one. And it's just a little more, I guess, streamlined, or a little more, I don't know, edgy or less edgy. I don't know. But this one just seems more classic and just more, I don't know, quality to me. But anyway, there's the finial. You got your normal sailor clip, plenty taut. It works perfect. Around the band here, we have Japan, founded 1911, and sailor. So you have all of that, and the gold trim, and then flat ends, and usually the ends are a different color than the body as well. Sometimes the end, the cap, and the body are all different colors, and sometimes even do stuff with the section, but that's all of that. It is a twist cap, and it comes off in 1 3/4 turns, which is acceptable for me. When we get down to the size, I can, if I'm using it to just jot down a quick note or something, I can use it unposted. But really, as a non-poster, this is one of the few pens that I find comfortable to post, and actually prefer to have post, especially if I'm doing more than just a couple sentences. For me, it just makes sense and feels better in my hand to post. There's no real step. In fact, they have like a couple steps that sort of breaks it down a little bit. So you have one step down to the threads and where the cap goes over, and another step down from the threads to the section here where that gold band is there. Sort of a slightly narrows down to a lip, which is very comfortable for me to hold. The threads aren't a problem. They're very smooth, and very comfortable pen for me to hold. We get down to their Pro Gear Slim, and I think the Mini has the same nib as well, but it's their 14 karat gold nib. Once again, this is the old style nib, the old style logo and 1911 and all that. This is what they call a hard medium fine, but I don't think they make the soft nibs anymore, so I guess all of their nibs are hard. So this is just a medium fine nib, which writes, I guess, between like a Western medium and a Western fine. We'll see here in a minute. But there you have it. You have the 1911, the Sailor, lovely old Sailor logo. I think Sailor has some of the best looking nibs. I've said that before, but I'll say it again. Their scroll work around the outsides are great. I think the logo and the number is classy. 14 karat gold, and the gold content of 58.5%. And then the old sort of Sailor logo, Sailor Company logo down underneath. And then you have their regular old plastic feed. It's kind of a bulkier feed for the Sailor pens, as you can see there. But yeah, lovely nib. Now, and we'll get to a detail on the nib, which I'll kind of go through later when I'm writing with it. We'll cover that. If we unscrew the barrel here, as always, Sailor pens, for whatever reason, have plastic threads on their sort of metal section, which some people find unacceptable. You can kind of see those little bits of plastic that kind of start coming off just as part of that. But it does have a O-ring here to help it from, slipping open or anything like that, help you from over tightening it, and also helps it, like I said, from slipping. Some pins just accidentally come unscrewed by themselves just from uncapping or whatever, but the O-ring helps that. Sailor has proprietary converters and cartridges, so you make sure you have a Sailor converter. This one didn't come with a converter, which is okay, just because of the cost the price that I got it for. So I was fine also ordering a converter off Amazon. But you get the Sailor converter. Some people love them, some people hate them. I'm indifferent. They kind of got a little sparkle to them as well, but you can get them in all kinds of colors nowadays. But works fine. It's proprietary opening there, so you can see it's a lot wider than something like a Standard International. It's a little bit narrower than something like a Pilot, so it's kind of its own thing there. So just keep that in mind. But like I said, they do include those 2 cartridges for you if you want to get started writing right away and not wait on a converter to show up. And yeah, let's get inking with this thing. And the ink that I've chosen for it, I don't remember if I've done this combination before, but I should have, and I've always thought about this combination. But we're going to go with Pilot Iroshizuku, and the Iroshizuku we're choosing is Tsuki-Yo. And Tsuki-Yo basically translates to moonlight. And so with an autumn moon pen and a moonlight ink, I just think it's a really great, classy combination here. So I think it's going to be great. As always, the beautiful bottles from Pilot. Classic ink, great ink. I'd use it in every pen. You know, once again, absolute stunner. And this is going to be a good combination. So I'm just going to fill it the old-fashioned way of dipping it in using the converter. While I do that, though, I'll let you know sort of my first impressions. Like I said before, this was my first one of my first gold nib pens. It was my first sailor pen. And it was not love at first right, I guess you could say. What happened was, basically I got the pen and the nib was absolutely like super scratchy and like not feedback. It was actually scratchy. It was like grabbing the paper and flicking like little specks of ink, and it was horrible. And I was really, really disappointed. And it's actually how I started sort of getting into, you know, working on my own nibs and stuff, is I had to do something about it. So the first thing I did was I basically aligned the tines. I think part of the problem was the tines were misaligned. And I'm going to try to talk in ink, and that might be a mistake. But the tines are misaligned, so that's what was causing it to kind of really grab into the paper and flick ink in a certain direction. So I aligned the tines, basically just with my fingernail, and you know, gently, a little bit at a time, adjusting the nib. And they're gold nibs, so it doesn't take too much to kind of adjust them, or unfortunately throw them out of whack sometimes. So that was the first thing I did, and then I also got some micro mesh. Ordered some micro mesh. I believe I ordered some from Pen Chalet, and basically just smoothed the nib ever so slightly. But I didn't take any of the sailor character. I was careful not to try to take any of the sailor character away from the actual nib. And now that I have other sailor pens, I can safely say that I didn't, because it still has that sort of audible feedback, that pencil-like feel to the pen. So anyway, that was my adventure with this pen. Right now, though, now that I've done, you know, adjusted it, it's one of my favorite writers. I absolutely love writing with this pen. I think it's a little more bouncy in writing than even their some of their 21 karat gold nibs or their 18 karat gold nib and that I have in the Cross Peerless. Anyway, let's get to that then. We have it inked. I have a piece of Rhodia paper here to test. I'm going to move you a little bit closer. Uncap this thing. Post it for once. Try to get some of that ink off with my fingers. And we'll get writing with the Sailor Pro Gear Slim. It might be a little bit smoother than my other Sailors, just because I had to do some of that adjustment, but this is a medium fine, and it's 14 karat gold nib. The ink that we have in it is lovely color. Iroshizuku Tsuki-Yo. Great ink, always wet, smooth, and a beautiful color. It's I'd call it almost a blue-black, but it has a little bit of teal in it. Kind of similar to something like, well, I guess maybe a little bit like the Pilot blue-black, or maybe like a Parker Quink blue-black. Kind of has that sort of teal color, Waterman Mysterious Blue. Maybe kind of in that same vein of blue color. But excellent ink. Our sentence that I can write here. Let me make sure we're focused in. Oh. 5 boxing wizards jump quickly. You can see with this medium fine. And it might be due to some of the work I had to do on it. It's a little bit broader than I like. I think it's closer to like a Sailor regular medium. I don't know if I could probably tell a difference between this nib and a regular medium, but that's just me. It's plenty wet. You can see there, it's plenty wet for a medium fine for a Japanese nib. Very wet. You can get the shading and everything. I'm sure if I held this paper at the right angle, we might get a little bit of sheen from this ink, but I can't. Let me see if I can see anything. Maybe not right now, or definitely can't get it on camera, but this ink does kind of have a subtle sheen to it as well. I don't know, it's a smooth nib, but you can probably hear some of that audible feedback. It's very similar. I think this one's less like a pencil and maybe more like a felt tip marker. Something like if you've ever used like what is it, like the Papermate flares, those felt tip markers. That's kind of what it feels like because it's still smooth. It just has a little bit of audible feedback. So very enjoyable nib for me. Line variation, there's no pressure. There's a little pressure. I don't think there's much variation other than just a little bit more wetness. Lets out a little bit more ink, maybe a little bit of line variation, but there's also, even in the 14 karat nib, there's a little bit of bounce you can probably see there when you're writing. So that's something that's nice with it. When I'm writing with it, it's completely comfortable. It's a smaller pen, so some people might not be into the smaller pens like the Pelikan M200 or the Pilot Prera or the Pro Gear Slim. But this one, I found it to be extremely comfortable pen to write with, posted for me. But that's just me. I've kind of gotten used to and into the lighter, smaller pens, and so it's a beautiful pen for me. I don't know what else to say about this, so I guess I'll stop the writing sample there. We'll get into price. So like I said, I bought this pen off of Amazon. There's other ways to buy it, of course, but that's how I bought this pen. Is one of my first gold nib pens. I bought it for, I think, around $90 US on Amazon, and it still goes for around that same price as well. So the original Shikiori series, the Pro Gear Slim series, goes for around $90, $90 to $95 on Amazon. If you want to purchase it that way, it's completely legit. I've never had any problems with something like a fake or anything like that. So it's completely legit. Just might take a little bit longer to get to you if it's coming straight from Japan or something like that. For $90, this is 1,000% worth it. I mean, it's a gold nib pen. It's quality, resin. It's a unique resin, unique, looking pen. Something about the Sailor resins, there's just something to them. They feel like, I don't know, maybe they feel thicker, or like, I don't know what the feeling is, but it feels more premium than just a normal plastic, pen. So it does have that premium feel. It has a gorgeous, 14 karat gold nib. So it's absolutely worth it, especially even if you have to buy the converter separately, for $5 or $7 or whatever to get a converter shipped to you. It's still absolutely worth that $90 price point. So if you don't have a Sailor Pro Gear, or you don't have a Sailor pen at all, and you're looking to try one, I would recommend, starting with the Pro Gear Slim. For $90, there's not much to lose there. I will say though, if you are debating on which to choose, if you're trying to choose between like the Pro Gear Slim and the regular Pro Gear, I will say one thing. If you're really close and trying to debate which one to buy, and you decide to sort of go for the Pro Gear Slim just because it's cheaper, you will want the regular size Pro Gear. So if you are choosing between the two, maybe go just, save up the extra bucks or spend the extra bucks and get the Pro Gear, the regular size Pro Gear. And if you want, you can always go back to the Pro Gear Slim. But I will say, that's kind of what I did. I was kind of like waiting to see, like, do I want to wait and save up for Pro Gear? But they're so much more expensive. So I went ahead and bought the Pro Gear Slim. I've absolutely come to adore this pen. But I mean, I did, as you can see, ended up getting a regular Pro Gear as well. But I absolutely adore this pen. It's a great pen for me. You can use it in any situation. It's super comfortable. The nib is great now that I kind of adjusted it, but I'm assuming not all of the Pro Gear Slim nibs come misaligned and everything, but that was just sort of what happened to me. Anyways, great pen. I'll stop the review there. That's the review of the Sailor Pro Gear Slim and the Autumn Moon Shikiori finish. Great pen, absolutely worth the price. Let me know if you have a Sailor Pro Gear, if you prefer the Pro Gear Slim or the Pro Gear, how you like their nibs, if you like the medium fine, because that's what a lot of the Pro Gear Slims come in for whatever reason. That's sort of the main nib that they come in. I guess it's good midway point for all of them. Anyway, leave a like and a comment and a subscribe. The like and subscribe, all of that is free and easy way to help out the channel and to keep updated on the content that I put out. I try to stick to a weekly schedule. Sometimes I get busy though, but I try to stick to weekly content. And anyways, until next time, everybody stay safe and healthy, and I'll catch you later.